All right. It looks like I'm live, but maybe I need to make sure. Kia, you're sitting there in the background. Do you see me live? Oh, it looks like one of the channels might not be. All right. Now all of our channels are. All right, guys. So for those of you who weren't aware, I was in Seattle last week. I go once a year. I go to visit Amazon at their Accelerate show, sometimes more than once a year when they are gracious enough to have me, but scheduled is once a year for the Amazon Accelerate show. And that was last week. Basically spent close to a week in Seattle, and really the highlight is being able to speak to Amazon, to see everything that Amazon has themselves for sellers. And it's really an amazing week. What I'm going to do right now is go through all of the announcements and the releases that Amazon presented that brands will be able to utilize. Some of them are a big deal, some of them are not a big deal, some of them I recommend jumping on as soon as you can, some of them I recommend staying far away from, but this will be a sort of breakdown. Um, a few of these things are places I don't have a lot of expertise in, but I'll give you the feedback of somebody who doesn't have expertise. That might be useful on its own. All right, so as I do with a lot of the stuff I record, I'll start off with a shared screen, and we'll sort of dig into it. So the first, I didn't do it in such a fancy document. I basically worked as a regular document, but what's in it is everything you're going to need to know. So the first question, of course, what is Accelerate? Accelerate is, as I said a second ago, it is a show that Amazon puts on for every seller that they work with. They invite some partners that provide services to sellers, some influencers, but really this is a show put on for every seller they work with. And what makes this different from other shows, there are shows all year long: New York City, Las Vegas, Orlando, other cities in Europe. There are shows all year long that have to do with Amazon, that have to do with e-commerce. What makes this one different is that it is the only event put on by Amazon themselves. And when it is a show that Amazon puts on themselves, that means that they are sending invitations to every single person that has an active Amazon seller account. Any other show that exists, even shows that have hundreds of people, even shows that have thousands of people, those shows, the promotion of those shows is limited to the circles of whoever puts on the event. Someone has a mailing list of 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. That is the circle of people that they're communicating with. If they run advertising, they're going to be running advertising to who they know and who they can find out might be an advertiser. And the reality is, a lot of people who attend these events are not even people who sell on Amazon, are not people associated with Amazon, who might not be perfect to be in the room, but they show up. With this list, excuse me, with this event, basically Amazon is sending it to every single person that sells on Amazon. I think that the number of seller accounts exceeds 6 million. Now, not everyone is active, and for sure, not everyone is coming out to Seattle. Their attendee list ends up being in the several thousand number, but it is all Amazon sellers. It is all sellers who have made the investment to travel to a city like Seattle, and in some cases, that is an international trip for them. So it is a unique thing. The other thing which makes it unique is Amazon Seller Cafe. So for those of you who sell on Amazon but aren't aware of Seller Cafe, basically Seller Cafe is something that doesn't exist anywhere else. It's a large room set up with tables, and there are actual live Amazon reps sitting at these tables. You can come to them with problems that you've got, and Amazon will work to fix them on the spot. They work to fix them in a way that you cannot usually get help most of the rest of the year. They are doing this with people who understand issues. You can speak to them in common sense English, and you won't just get a reply in 4 seconds that says, "We don't understand what you want." You'll be able to talk to a person who knows how to get things fixed. If he doesn't know how to get things fixed, he'll know the person that can get things fixed. So those are the things you'll see at Amazon, and that's besides all of the other people from Amazon who are floating around. This year, I saw people that can help with agency technical issues. I had my own issue to speak to Seller Cafe about. They were actually super helpful about it. It was a small issue, a technical issue, but again, even small technical issues, when you are stuck in that loop of people not understanding what's going on, it is a painful place to be. I believe it's one of Dante's 7 circles of hell is Amazon tech support that's not being responsive. So to be able to get out of that is great. There is also all of the wonderful charms that Seattle has. This year, I ended up on a pirate boat with a South American dissident. I did not have that on my scorecard for 2025. So, Chris Rollins, if you're listening, thank you for enabling that. All right, now getting back into Amazon and their announcements. Basically, for 3 days, they had keynotes every single day. They put several thousand people into a large room with massive, massive screens. They had scripted employees of Amazon come up on stage and talk about different features in the spaces where they have expertise. And there was a lot. They covered a whole bunch of areas and they got into a whole bunch of detail. And we'll go into that ourselves now. So the announcements themselves, they basically fit into 5 sections. The first one is the one I know least about, which is the supply chain. Although I sold myself for decades, and although I sold for myself large, large numbers of dollars myself, I never was the person who dealt with the supply chain. So I know about it, of course. I had to know everything about my business. And of course, I speak with clients now about where inventory is and how it's being handled, but definitely not my number one space in terms of expertise. After that, we've got efficiency and cost reductions. This is much more of my space because people often use advertising as a tool for saving money, or when advertising is out of control, they'll bring us on to try and make it in control. So we've got cost reductions here. Product success and growth. When a brand is successful, when product is successful, this helps me. I have very much an interest in making products successful. AI powered growth. Everything today is AI, and Amazon is no different. They have thousands of people working on AI. They're plugging it into every part of what they do. And in this show, they spoke about a bunch of the places where AI is coming in to make the picture look different. One comment you'll see me make is, shouldn't this have been happening already? And that will be definitely true. But it is something that they're layering in. And in some cases, they're layering it in interesting ways. And the last part I put here is marketing updates. Marketing updates refers to the parts which have to do with advertising and other marketing channels. Here, there were the fewest updates. Some of them were super technical, but they were the fewest. The reason for that is simple. Amazon has a separate show, which is for advertising. It's called Unboxed. It's going to be in a few weeks, and it's typically geared towards large sellers who need technical support in advertising, and it's geared towards advertising agencies. I might see some of my audience there, but that is not the place for this. That didn't keep them from making some announcements. We'll get into those also. Right. So in each of these sections, there are a bunch of features that were released. I'll roll through those, but I'll also give you comments on each. So when it comes to supply chain by Amazon, number one, we've got the end of commingling. Those of you who live in the world of commingling will appreciate this. They have FBA inventory optimization, which sounds like it should just be something which is happening all the time, but it got listed as a specific thing. Global warehousing and distribution has been updated. MCF has been updated for those of you who ship orders from your Amazon inventory through to other channels, whether it's TikTok or Walmart or other places. Amazon has updated the way this works. They have introduced a new feature called Easy Ship, or a new system rather called Easy Ship. They have updated the ways to centralize order management. This is one which I'll talk about a little bit, but essentially you should soon be able to start seeing orders from other places inside your Amazon. So you should be able to see TikTok orders and other marketplaces all within Amazon. And then there is something called an FBA regional launch. This possibly should have been in the launch and scale faster section, but they put it here in supply chain because it has to do with where the goods are going. Next, of course, we have AI, and more AI. Before all of these keynotes, on day one, there was an interview between Andy Jassy and Dharmesh Mehta, who are the two top people at Amazon, and they were talking about where things are going. They asked, hey, what's happening with AI? And they all started laughing together because everybody knows that the buzzword of everything that goes on today is AI. In my own agency, we use it, and I keep pushing to use it in more and more situations. It really is a layer that enables everything else, almost like electricity. And it very much is the theme of what was introduced this week on at Accelerate. Within the space of AI, they have a new AI powered seller assistant. They have an AI enhanced listing creation tool. They have a creative studio, which will help you create videos with just a little bit of prompting. They have a tool for proactive account health support. The product opportunity explorer, which exists now in Amazon, has had AI layered onto it. And interestingly enough, they have an AI powered custom clearance feature that's coming out. All of this probably could not have existed on its own without some sort of intelligence behind it. So kudos to AI. Once you get past AI, there are tools to help brands launch and scale faster. Launching is basically bringing a new product to market. Scaling is taking a product that is already on market and driving it to sell more. Um, it is in everybody's interest for both of those things to happen effectively. It is in a brand's own interest, of course. It's in my interest for working with brands. And of course, it is in Amazon's interest to have products sell more. Products that sell more. Everybody makes money all the way around, ideally. And they have tools. They've always had tools to make this happen. They have more tools to make this happen. Number one, boosted visibility for new listings, Amazon Vine enhancements, product performance spotlight, enhanced A plus content, expanded lending options, and Amazon business enhancements. This is a full suite of things. Some of them might apply to brands, some of them might not, but you've got quite a bit over here. They have a group of updates fit into the space of efficiency and cost reduction. Just like you'd like to sell more, you'd like to spend less to make those sales happen. And these are the tools that let that occur. Within that space, we've got custom analytics. We've got customer journey analytics. We've got profit analytics, analytics and analytics and analytics. You see a theme happening here. They've got features for streamlined returns, for new markdowns and outlet deals, which existed, but now they're a little bit more structured, I think a little bit with AI. Improved seller support, and they've got a new Seller Central. This one is actually pretty interesting to me. We'll dig into that a little bit when we get to it. The marketing updates, as I said, there's just a few. The first one is AMC for everyone, keyword level impression trends, A plus content APIs, and a data kiosk. We'll get into those also. Like I said, they are more limited than what we'll see soon, but they are interesting in and of itself. So digging into these, the first thing we've got are the supply chain updates from Amazon. The first thing that we've got is the end of commingling. For those of you who are not aware, commingling is a function from Amazon in which if there are sellers or multiple sellers that have sent in inventory of the same ASIN, in order to fill in an order, they will take any of the inventory that matches that ASIN. So if I'm selling, for example, a frozen figurine, what will end up happening is if I send in some of this frozen figurine and 9 other sellers send in inventory of this frozen figurine, and somebody lives in Dallas, Texas, they will take from the inventory that is closest to Dallas, Texas to get it to that shopper the fastest, no matter which seller it is that made the sale. And they'll basically unify it. So essentially, if seller number 3 is closest to Dallas, but the shopper bought it from seller number 1, they will basically have seller number 3 lend a piece of inventory to seller number 1 to be given back to them later. That's what gets sent. The problem with commingling is that different people will send in different conditions of goods. People will send in different authenticities of goods. For those of you who have been around Amazon long enough, you will actually remember that there was a huge story in which Amazon themselves was selling counterfeit frozen Disney merchandise. They were counterfeit because Amazon was shipping commingled goods to Amazon's own shoppers from sellers that were sending in counterfeit goods. So the seller was sending in counterfeit goods. Amazon was pulling from that counterfeit inventory to fill their own orders, which is part of commingling, which is the worst part of commingling. It hurts everybody. It hurts the listing. It hurts the seller. All around, it hurts the shopper also. By stopping this practice fully, the idea is that everybody will have control over their supply chains properly. Now, what's interesting about this is up until now, Amazon, to the best of my knowledge, unless they introduced it and removed it, Amazon has had the ability to turn off commingling, in which you tell Amazon, I do not want anybody else's inventory going to my shoppers. I do not want my inventory going to anybody else's shoppers. And they were supposed to honor it. I don't know if this got removed at some point, which makes this a useful announcement. I don't know if this was actually running the whole time, but Amazon has made it 100% for everybody. But commingling should not have been happening for most sellers anyway, if you're on top of things. Now, the other part of this is that even if commingling, whether it's happening or whether it's not happening, there's another factor, which is I can sell the same ASIN in my inventory and I can have multiple SKUs for it. Technically, if I have a supplement and I have different production dates, one batch of inventory is manufactured January 1st, another batch is manufactured December 15th, a third batch is manufactured June 9th. I can create separate SKUs for each, and by creating separate SKUs, I can track those. And as one gets to be close to expiration date, I can go into my inventory. I can pull back the oldest of those to make sure that nobody gets inventory which is short dated. I wonder now if Amazon is not allowing commingling anymore, but is also removing stickering, because the stickering is how you identify different production dates and different SKUs, how that's all going to fit together. Now, on one hand, technically it still shouldn't be needed because every single individual unit in Amazon is tracked along its whole journey. I shouldn't need a separate sticker to identify the one from January 15th or the one from December 3rd. They should have, just by virtue of the day they arrived and being tagged and followed as they go through their merry way inside Amazon's distribution system, they should know specific ones to pull them back. The problem is, we know that within the world of Amazon, they do not often stick to this system. Goods get mixed up. People get the wrong things. I foresee the possibility of this not working as intended, but let's go into it with the best of intentions. All right, next. FBA inventory optimization. This is one of the places where AI comes in. You should be getting better inventory recommendations. So as goods are selling low, they should be telling you to reorder based on the parameters you give, and they should be giving you better numbers. Right now, Amazon's inventory recommendations, to be charitable, are not so accurate. They can sometimes be very inaccurate. If you are any good at what you do, you will have your own system for determining what to replenish and how much to replenish. If this is better, that will be nice. I would be careful about how much I continue to trust Amazon's recommendations. It'll probably get better over time. We're still far away. Global Warehousing and Distribution is a new program that basically opens up Amazon's own distribution centers close to centers of manufacturing. So different cities in China will have large Amazon warehouses, and instead of sending the goods all the way to the United States to be held either at a seller's warehouse or in Amazon's inventory, the cheapest place to hold it is in China. Warehouses will be built there to store it more cheaply and then to move it along its way. This part is a mixed bag, because do you really want Amazon truly knowing all of the inventory you have? I'm not so sure about that. It also, it restricts you in terms of being able to send inventory to other sales channels. You can do it, but again, there are times where more transparency is better. There are times where less transparency is better from a business standpoint. I'm of the opinion that knowing all of my inventory is a competitive advantage of my own, whereas Amazon knowing that helps them more than it helps me. There are benefits, but I don't know that it outweighs me having full control over my inventory. Next, MCF updates. For those of you who are not aware, MCF is the program which allows you to send a unit of your Amazon inventory to fill an order placed not on Amazon. If you get an order on your Shopify website, if you get an order through your TikTok store, if you get an order through your Amazon store, you can ship the unit that got purchased through your Amazon inventory. And The good thing is you can keep all of your inventory in one place. A lot of sellers do not have the ability to ship individual orders themselves. The challenge here is that Amazon is often slower in shipping those orders than they are at shipping their own orders. So you go to the back of the line. That is not preferred because you are slower. Shoppers want their orders quickly, no matter where they buy it from. This is a slowdown in the process. And also, many marketplaces do not want orders being shipped from Amazon, to the point where Amazon has to offer an option that says no labeling on the package, no Amazon labeling on the package. So there is an adversarial element between these marketplaces that Amazon is shipping orders for and Amazon themselves. Now, what Amazon announced is that they're adding more marketplaces. I believe the one that they introduced at this show was Shein. Um, they've had Temu and Walmart and Shopify, and they've had others. They added Shein at this event, and there was a big, this screen must have been 70 feet across with large logos of other sellers that were not Amazon. I don't think anybody ever expected to see it. Everybody in the audience was like, huh, I never expected to see Walmart left on the screen for like 4 minutes while someone is talking at an Amazon Accelerate show. And yet that is what happened. I don't know how much Walmart likes it. I have to imagine they don't want any interaction with Amazon, if at all possible, but that's what we've got. Next, Amazon Easy Ship. It's not clear how this works. I actually watched the video a couple of times, but they are calling it a solution for Amazon to help manage seller-fulfilled orders. This goes into the same category as the global warehousing. If Amazon is getting themselves into the inventory of a seller, I don't think that is necessarily the interest of the seller. In places where you work closely with Amazon, that's fine. In places where you want to have control over information and control over inventory, less fine. This falls into the latter. Centralized order management, which is another twist on this MCF. MCF up until now has been basically you give the order information to Amazon and Amazon ships it. Buyer name, buyer address, and that's really almost all that it is. I think there might be a field in the memo for an order number. I haven't had to look at it in a couple of years, but that it's really limited in terms of what you get. Now it appears that Amazon is going to start integrating into the tools of these other platforms and start showing order data inside Amazon Seller Central. So they didn't have any demos to show of it, but apparently you'll be able to click a tab and see your Shopify orders. Click another tab, see your TikTok orders. You'll be able to see the orders from all different places. And I have to imagine that, number one, these platforms do not want Amazon knowing all of their order data and flows. I can imagine very much them being concerned that Amazon will use it to their competitive advantage and to their disadvantage. To the sellers, on the seller side, that is also a factor. When a channel is doing better or worse than Amazon, it is in your interest to know and Amazon not to clearly know. If Walmart is 5% of your Amazon orders, you want to know that and be annoyed and try to make it larger. You do not want Amazon to know that Walmart is 5% of your orders, because they can take actions that deprioritize Walmart, or they can not care about Walmart, or they cannot care about you based on knowing that 94% of your orders are Amazon. If TikTok is 40, 50, 70% of your orders, and now anytime you can leave Amazon to go to TikTok and get almost your same order flow or more, you have power. If Amazon sees that 70% of your orders are coming from another channel, I don't have enough time and imagination to figure out what they can do when another channel is beating them and they have the internal data on it. So stay away from that. I really don't love that. There are tools that do that. Use those tools instead. All right. Next, FBA regional launch. Again, another tool which is unclear in terms of how it works. But basically, you should be able to steer the inventory that is used during a launch into a smaller space. That way, the inventory is concentrated and you should be able to get better data. I'm not exactly sure how that works, because in theory, spreading inventory all throughout Amazon's distribution network is still supposed to put it next to the places it's most likely to get purchased. Somehow this is supposed to help you get better data faster and to not need as much inventory to spread around. But again, if inventory is being distributed intelligently in the first place, it's going to be distributed to the places that it's most likely to sell best. Unclear. Streamline returns. Well, let's fix a typo, even though I don't actually need the data here. Accuracy is good. All right. Next, streamline returns. Right now, if you have FBA returns, shoppers will send those returns to you. If you have returns through FBA, those are sent into Amazon's distribution centers and are held until they get all sent back to you. Apparently, there will be a tool to unify this. I don't know what unifying it means. Up until now, I have been able to see all our returns anyway in Seller Central, and you know what they are. What I do like about this simplified returns part is the part doesn't have anything to do with returns, which is you can now give partial refunds to shoppers in case there is something small that you can address without needing to take a whole order back. And you'll be able to send out parts to shoppers. This one is huge. Being able to send replacement parts for dumb things is absolutely a thing that saves orders. When I was selling myself on my own websites, we used to sell lots of kits. We used to sell lots of bundles, components, that would make up an order from all different manufacturers. And it happens. Sometimes a component is missing. I certainly do not want to take a whole order back. I can resend that individual item. In some cases, a shopper will want to return an order, and the way to make the customer happy that they wouldn't otherwise have been might be to send them something for free. This is not new in the concept of customer service, and now you can do those things. We'd call it a part, but really it would be something of adding extra value to get the shopper to keep an order. Very much a proponent of this. So partial refunds and sending out orders, sending out additional components or parts. This one, so far out of all of this, is my 2 thumbs up. The last one is improved inbound and reimbursements. We're supposed to get clear visibility into FC capacity, improved reimbursement speed for missing from inbound cases. I don't know why this was announced. It's not technically a feature. It is just saying that you're going to fix something that's been broken for a while. If it's going to be a noticeable leap in how much it gets better, I guess that's an announcement, but Amazon should always be iterating to make things perform better. This should have not been an issue to even discuss. Anyway, this is, I said I don't know a lot about this, but apparently I had plenty of opinions to share anyway. So enjoy those. As we get into things I know a little bit better, AI. Now, when it comes to AI, it would probably be fair to say that I'm a little bit unusual when it comes to AI. On one hand, I am an official certified AI champion. I won the first annual AI competition at the Prosper Show, which makes me a certified AI champion. That said, I generally use AI in a basic way. I am not an expert with JSON. I am not an expert with sophisticated and detailed scripts. I am not an expert in the tools used to build little apps, but we try to use AI more and more and more. I am using it to help me with all manner of things, from technical to opinion and everything in between. I recommend looking at AI as sort of the layer of electricity that makes everything happen. It is the glue, it is the cement that makes everything stick and fit together and run well. Here, Amazon is using it similarly. A lot of these are existing things inside their system, which are now made dramatically better by AI. Whether it will function as dramatically better as claimed is something to figure out, but to go through the features. Number one, AI-powered seller assistant. Right now, many times people have issues with listings that have become non-compliant. You have a product that gets flagged as a pesticide. You get a product that gets flagged as a child product when it's not a child product, as an adult product when it's not an adult product. These flags happen all the time, and we have to go through a process in which we figure out why Amazon thinks this, telling Amazon that it is not this, and getting it cleared. Right now, Amazon is rolling out an AI powered assistant to help with this process. They actually showed an example which is pretty clear in its illustration. Someone is selling a tent, and the tent gets flagged as a pesticide. Why would a tent get flagged as pesticide? Because in the description it says, eliminates mosquitoes with our zippered mesh net. Eliminate mosquitoes, big red flag, and flag this pesticide. Now, obviously, anybody with 2 working brain cells knows that if tent is not a pesticide. This new AI tool is supposed to come and say, Hey seller, I figured out why we said it's a pesticide. It'll flag the words eliminates mosquitoes. It'll suggest different words, keep mosquitoes out of your tent. And um, I'm laughing because there's a stream of comments that I should probably not be looking at, and someone is mentioning the pirate ship. Mr. LinkedIn user, yes, I did mention the pirate ship, and I actually mentioned who our host was. So pirate ship gets a second mention. Now, going back to the AI-powered seller assistant, AI-powered seller assistant will suggest changing the words inside that 10th listing, and then it will open and send in the case by itself. Now, as with all of these things, as with the inbound issue, if the AI-powered assistant knows that this product is not a pesticide, why isn't the other part of their system not being kept from flagging it in the first place? I don't know, but these are this is in 10 different situations. This is a case of a tool fixing a thing that should be prevented in the first place with intelligence. uh, I don't know what else to say than that, but hopefully the people in the back end will be using AI to prevent these issues from happening in the first place. Next, enhanced listing creation. This is one which is a little bit, it falls into the category of how much information do we want to give Amazon. Um, in theory, it can take a lot of data, give you a lot of insights, um, shopping trends, and recommending improvements to listings. There's a lot there and all of this is good. The more information you have, the more that Amazon is taking its mountains of data and using that data to help you inform your listing, the better that is. You can take or not take the insights as you want, but at least I want the insights to be able to make decisions on. The thing I don't like is the feature they mention almost as a throwaway. That throwaway is being able to create listings from existing website pages. An issue that comes up often with people who are established off of Amazon and want to come onto Amazon is they'll have a whole website full of products they sell, and they want to get those products from the website onto Amazon. This can be a very, very challenging process, either time consuming if you're doing it manually, or even if you have good data skills and are doing dumps of files, those can be issues. Amazon supposedly is bringing in a tool that can look at that site and then bring it over to Amazon. The problem here is that you don't always want that to be happening. Amazon mismatches things between websites and their own site. It happens often. And I imagine that even if you tell it the site and even if you tell it the page to get listings off of, it can still have less than a perfect match situation. And now you're going to make it worse because you gave it the source of authority, even though it made a mistake in the conversion. I don't love that. The other part of it is that very frequently we want to make listings that are specific from Amazon. Um, there are a bunch of reasons for that, but whatever the reasons might be, you also don't want them using a website as the source of authority if there is a SKU which is not on the website, it is Amazon specific. A whole discussion can be had around that. Don't love the feature. Next, AI powered creative studio. This one, unqualified. I love it. I've heard people saying you can do better yourself if you know your JSON scripts. I'm not. I basically saw a demo of a tool in which you had to start it out with a product image. You said, hey, make me an ad and I want to focus on this feature. And it came up with creative ways to discuss it. Intelligent, funny, sharp, themed, different pieces of advertising, whether it's screenshots that you could pull out of a video or whether it's an entire video of a thing happening. It was great. It is, I think, still now in waitlist mode, but to Amazon Seller Central, find out where to sign up for that wait list and get on that wait list. Proactive account health, again, same as the seller assistant. If you're catching account health issues and if you are writing the appeals and you're sending in those cases, Amazon system has the ability to see all of those things before there is even an issue in the first place to report, especially if it knows that there is an appeal in place. Yeah. Product Opportunity Explorer with AI certainly promises to be interesting. Product Opportunity Explorer is an unsung hero, an unsung piece of resource and information for what's happening in the marketplace compared to products. And to add a layer of AI for interpretation, for display of information, can only be good. For those of you who do not spend time in Product Opportunity Explorer, I recommend it. Even if you think your product selection is fine, go into those screens, start just typing random things that match to your product and see what the marketplace looks like, see what it thinks the opportunities are. Some of them might be eye opening in terms of your product fitting into a place you didn't even realize, or you being able to take advantage of a marketplace that you didn't even realize you can take advantage of. Look around, play with it, and if you look at it before AI comes in and you look at it after, you actually might see a nice jump in the terms of what it gives you. But play with that Product Opportunity Explorer. Updated forecasting for new products. I have it listed here. They didn't add a ton of information on it, but I assume that it is similar to Product Opportunity Explorer in which you give it an ASIN that you're interested in bringing to market. It'll tell you some kind of projection for how much goods to bring in. Uncertain what they're basing things on because different brands can do different things to make brand launches go better. Somebody who's spending a lot of money on off Amazon traffic will need to buy a different amount of goods than somebody who is not. Somebody who has an established brand that they might be able to figure out is different than somebody who doesn't. There are all different factors here. I don't know how much of it they're taking into effect. AI-powered customs clearance. This fits into one of the other categories, which I've said. Apparently, they will be able to fill in up to 70% of the customs information needed for the forms when goods are being brought into America. And although this does promise to be a time saver, this is also a case where you are giving a lot of your own internal information to Amazon, and there's an issue there. So, for example, say there is a product which can fit into several product categorizations, and you naturally and fully appropriately pick the categorization which gives you the most beneficial terms in terms of customs. Amazon catches this, and they are selling an Amazon Basics product which is the same. What they do with that can be unpredictable. They might fill in a different category than what you'd fill in yourself with their AI-powered system, or they might all of a sudden change how they're categorizing their product, and it allows them to sell their product for even less than their already underpriced product. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Keep your customs to yourself is my recommendation. Next, launching and scaling faster. These are some interesting tools which are basically intended to help you launch and scale faster. Boosted visibility for new listings. This one is sort of funny. So the way they described it is they are enhancing search placement for new products. They are working with creator partnerships. They are offering new deal types for products that are new to market. As I wrote here, this feels like the honeymoon period, which has been unofficial but has existed forever, has now been made official. In the off chance that Danny McMillan is watching this, you, sir, have now been turned upside down with your concept that there is no honeymoon period. There is absolutely officially a honeymoon period, and it is renamed as boosted visibility for new listings. The concept is there. For those of you who might not know what a honeymoon period is, essentially when you bring something new to Amazon, Amazon will show it to shoppers in a prominent position at first to see if you get sales. On day one, you have 0 sales. You have 0 reviews. Nobody knows what you are, and you're in a world where existing sales happen for many other products. Amazon doesn't know what to do with you. One thing they might do if they don't know what to do with you is to put you in the middle of nowhere. You have no history, you have no sales, you have no information to give to, you have nothing to validate your product. The other way is to give your product a chance. Giving your product a chance is absolutely essential because, number one, the market wants variety, and number two, the market wants new options. A simple example I've given many, many times is if new products were not given a honeymoon period, today in 2025, we would still be buying televisions with 2011 technology. Why? The 2011 TV during the course of 2011 got 950 reviews. When 2012 comes out, the TV has 0 reviews. The older TV has 900 reviews or however many hundred reviews. That stays on top. Those reviews go to 2,000, to 3,000, to 8,000 every single year. That 2011 TV has a bigger and bigger head start over anything that's launched. Nothing new can break the marketplace. We have fat, ugly, big bezel TVs. Bringing new products to market. This year's TV, this year's cheese grater. Those allow Amazon shoppers to see new and interesting things. And during that period, if they catch, they're doing well. If they don't catch, hey, we gave it a shot. They are making it official now. Like I said, unofficially, it has existed forever and a half. I don't know where the creator partnerships come in, but if you are doing off Amazon traffic, you are building your own creator partnerships. Lean on that. Amazon Vine enhancements, yet another place where this should have been happening. For those of you who are not familiar with Vine, it is a program in which you let some number of Amazon shoppers get your product for free and leave reviews for them. That gets you to a review count much faster than you would otherwise if you're sending out many units normally. And there's a world where 3 or 5% of people who receive a product will leave a review. Here, essentially close to 100% of these first few people leave reviews, and it gets you a jump start. Instead of looking like you have 0 or 1 review, you can have up to 30 pretty quickly. The problem with the Amazon Vine program has always been that some amount of weirdos leave 1 and 2 star reviews that make no sense to your product. They buy a thing that they don't know how to use. They're not the intended user of it. They make a mess of things, and it reflects in a bad listing. It is a bad match between reviewer and product. Supposedly, Amazon is using AI to connect products with the shoppers most likely to be needing that product. So if you are a mom, you will find clothes for moms, and all of the men in the audience will not be able to buy clothes for moms. That's probably a politically charged example, but it is a relevant example. The right people should be looking at the right products that they can use. AI should have been doing this forever. It will be doing it now. Product performance spotlights. This is good because you'll be getting insights, organic and PPC breakdown, proactive alerts. There's a lot of data here. A lot of it can be useful. The key, as in a few places here, will be to not get distracted by lots of points of data which are not useful. You want to separate the useful from the not useful. You want to separate the data from the noise. Play with it. Don't be too buzzy about it. Lots of this data is actionable. Lots of this data is available elsewhere. Lots of this data is questionable in what you can do with it. A lot of times you can see information. You can't really do anything with it for different reasons. Be careful and clear to understand which is which. Enhanced A+ content. This is one of the other big wins. Anything that Amazon does to make A+ better and more engaging, I am a super fan of. When Amazon first offered Premium A+ as an upgrade to standard A+ content, we saw significant jumps in quality of sales and conversion rates compared to what existed before, taking big jumps in terms of shoppable collections and different ways to tag products and different ways to link to products. All of those are great if they are used intelligently and if they are used with a good eye towards design. This will help your sales. Again, 2 thumbs up. I don't really have any pessimistic way of looking at this. Take advantage of it as soon as you can. Do it intelligently. Next, expanded lending options. Amazon has gone back and forth in terms of lending. They've raised and lowered limits. They've worked with partners, and then they've done it themselves. I think at some points they've gotten out of it totally. Right now, they are talking about expanding lending options. They specifically mentioned 2 lenders. One is QuickBooks Capital, and one is a company called Unpacked. I guess Cabbage is out, and I guess maybe a few others are out. Today is Unpacked, and the credit lines will be up to $5 million. I remember when it was only a few $100,000, and the first people that saw $1 million line of credit probably were like super amazed. And it looks like the numbers are going up to 5 million. I'm curious if anybody ever did see numbers close to that up until now, but the new number is 5 million. I assume your numbers will be very large in the first place to get offered a credit line like that. But if you see it, it could be interesting. There's a whole conversation to be had around whether or not to take these extensions of capital. Not the place here. Amazon Business Enhancements, this sort of belongs in the marketing section, but also here in the scaling faster section. They have introduced B2B ad campaign types. Those have been around for a little bit of time, but I guess they got their moment in the sun at this show. Reduce commissions on single product orders over $1,000. I understand this to mean that if there is a single product and somebody bought 700 pieces and the order goes over 1,000 for a single unit, commissions will go down. This is great for businesses. It allows, first of all, if the discounts are there, it allows sellers to offer a bigger discount to business buyers. And then business buyers can truly get a better value out of shopping on Amazon than they do otherwise. Right now, when somebody logs in through the business portal, they'll see prices which are usually pretty close to what they get on Amazon as an individual shopper. There are case specific situations where people can see bigger discounts. Here, you'll be able to see it. You'll really get a benefit for having a business and being in business. Lower FBA fees on orders with quantity discounts. Also, another way of being able to offer discounts to business shoppers. Highly recommended. As the numbers and discounts become clearer, be aware of them and lean into them to offer the best prices you can to business shoppers. Business shoppers do tend to be better shoppers. If you have a product which will benefit from brand awareness, if you have a product which will benefit from loyalty, these are great ways to bring businesses into your funnel. So be aware of that. This is also one of the 2 thumbs up items here. I like it very much. Marketing updates. This one gets covered quickly, even though my specialty is advertising. AMC for everyone. AMC is a feature called the Amazon Marketing Cloud. It gives you access to an enormous mountain of data, and it lets you build audiences out of the data that you can use in sponsored products. Up until AMC existed, anytime you build an audience, it could only be used in an audience type of an ad, which is sponsored display or DSP. You could not target the audiences any more than just the audience itself. You build an audience, you throw an ad at it, you don't have more control over that. Now you'll be able to take that audience you've built, layer it onto a sponsored product ad. Sponsored product ad uses a keyword as a target. So an example might be Diet Coke. So someone types a Diet Coke into Amazon, they're looking for Diet Coke. You're serving them up an ad for Diet Coke. However, if you're trying to build an audience, you will try to build an audience of people who are on a diet, even though Diet Coke probably is not a good component of any healthy diet. You might want to build an audience of people who are on a diet and push a Diet Coke ad at it. All right, you don't have any targeting. You just know you've built an audience of people who are on a diet. Now you can take that audience of people who are on a diet, layer it on top of the people searching for Diet Coke, and spend extra. So if somebody is searching for Diet Coke and they're on a diet, you will spend more for that person because you want to. Now you've got to put an audience onto it. You've qualified that group further. Testing is needed here. Now, AMC for everyone. Up until now, this is a program which had been around for a year and a half. Up until 6 weeks ago, it had been very, very technical. You needed to know SQL programming languages. And on top of just knowing SQL, you needed to know your Amazon data inside and out. The overlap of people who knew SQL and who knew what to do with the data is very, very small. Right now, they put in an AI SQL generator where you type the audience that you'd like to come up with from your own imagination. It builds the code. It works well. It's generally pretty effective, and it lets you build audiences easily. I've spoken about this in other places, and I'll be doing some more content on it separately. But AMC is nice. Now everyone's got it. When Amazon, just to update the timeline a little bit, I mentioned that 6 weeks ago they updated the way to build queries. At that point, it was still invitation only. You still had to have either a certain software that was part of the AMC program or an agency which was part of the AMC program. They would get you access. As of last Friday, or as of 10 days ago at this point, 2 Fridays ago. As of 2 Fridays ago, basically almost every Amazon seller woke up and found AMC enabled in their account. I still recommend being careful about how you use it. It is still a fledgling ad type, but the ability to refocus your ads much more tightly than you did before can only be a good thing. Next feature, keyword level impression trends. These are very, very nice. Up until now, a lot of the trend data that we get is really only at a brand level. most of it. So data about where shoppers drop off and data about where other parts of the journey have always been at the brand level. Now we're going to start getting data about impressions at the keyword level. Much better, much more useful. A plus content APIs. This is as technical as it gets. Basically, people who are accessing Amazon's data directly for their creating their own tools will now have data about A plus content. This can help with creating campaigns in bulk and with getting the data about how your A plus content is performing. I'm a little bit fuzzy on that because I'm not a programmer. So that this is probably the place where I can contribute the least, even in terms of understanding exactly how it works and what you can do with it. But again, more data better. The data kiosk is something in the category of data warehousing. So essentially, Amazon has warehouses of data, and there is a mountain of it. The data kiosk is apparently a way to segment the data and pull it from Amazon in a more tight and focused way. Again, most people, not useful. For the people who live in the world of data, this is a significant deal. So if you know about the data kiosk and you love it, you're amazing. Everybody else, you're just wonderful. All right. I believe our last section is efficiency and cost reduction. So these are tools to help you be more efficient. The first one is custom analytics. This has the potential to be great. It is essentially a dashboard where you can pull 100 different metrics from 15 different reports, and you can assemble it into a customized report. There are heat maps, there are funnel diagrams. All of these let you visualize the things that are happening in an account. As I've mentioned before, it is really easy to get overwhelmed. It is really easy to go through this list of 100 metrics and pull 92 of the metrics and see how they bounce against each other. You can lose your mind. You can focus on very irrelevant things. Be very thoughtful. I strongly recommend pulling one or two pieces of data and see what they look like. After you've figured out that you would like to know another thing, pull that extra piece of data out. Understand what all the 100 metrics are, and be thoughtful about what you use. Customer journey analytics. I mentioned above about keyword level data. Well, now we are also going to be getting ASIN level data. Again, a lot of the data we get is at the brand level. Bringing it down to the ASIN level is super useful. You can find out where ASINs are not performing compared to the rest of your brand. You can find out where they're not performing compared to what you expect them to do in general. This is great. Profit analytics. This is a tool which pulls numbers from 8 different places and lets you add in cogs for accuracy and then gives you analytics. As mentioned above, the less Amazon knows about the closest internal workings of your company, the better. If they find out that you are making a product for much, much less than they source it for, it's unclear what they'll do with that information. There have been accusations in the past. I don't know what were validated or not, but I'm a fan of keeping things close to the vest wherever possible. Streamline return somehow got added into my list twice. New markdowns and outlet deals. This is an interesting feature. I have always been a fan of outlet deals for goods that are not selling. If you have a product which is not selling and it is available for an outlet deal, you can move a lot of merchandise. The new markdown schedule is interesting because apparently, and again, this was mentioned briefly, apparently you can tell Amazon that you'd like to keep products selling at a certain velocity if there's an established velocity. And as it slows down, maybe because the life cycle is getting later in its life cycle, you can start marking the price down to keep selling at a certain speed. This is something which happens at retail all the time. If you go into Walmart 3 weeks later and you saw the same product on the shelf, it will definitely be cheaper. Goods are intended to be on the shelves at retail for a short amount of time, and everything they can do to make those amounts of time shorter, including dropping prices, is programmed right into how they sell. Amazon's going to allow us to do that. I don't know how much I love it. I prefer to have more control over the pricing process than Amazon implementing things. For certain brands, this absolutely can be useful, just like the outlet deals are, but be thoughtful about how you implement this. All right. I mentioned AZ Seller Kit. This isn't the place to talk about individual tools that aren't Amazon, but if you have a product in which you are trying to figure out price, AZ Seller Kit is unbelievable. It is a tool which basically matches velocity to pricing. So if you have a product that you want to sell 100 units a month of, and you are selling 60, they know that there is a price at which you can go from 60 to 100. It's probably lower than what it is now. They will test until you hit 100 units a month. In some cases, if you have an established selling volume, they will test in the other direction. If you're selling 100 units a month steadily and you'd like to keep selling that 100 units a month, they will see how high you can make your price while keeping selling those 100 units a month. And in a lot of cases, you actually could be selling the product for more and have been leaving profit on the table. It's a great tool for managing pricing. Um, Again, not the point here, but for those who can use it, always good to have more to work with. Next, improved seller support. Just like the other forms of seller support, also, basically, Amazon will be addressing cases with AI to do so more effectively. Um, Again, why are the cases needed if AI is smart enough to know how to fix it? Why couldn't AI prevent the case in the first place? I didn't have an answer 26 minutes ago. I still don't. Last in this list, but certainly not least, try saying that quickly a few times, is a new Seller Central. Um, Seller Central has always gone through evolutions, and in some cases, they have made significant changes. The last significant change to Seller Central was a bunch of years ago. I don't even know how many, but it was big at the time. Right now, it looks like these are going to be evolutionary more than anything else. Two things that Amazon spoke about is pre-built workflows. I'm not sure what a pre-built workflow is exactly, but apparently things which take a bunch of steps will now be able to be done in fewer steps. That's good, I guess. I don't have exact examples in mind. One thing that comes to mind maybe is creating shipments, but I don't know how a pre-built workflow would work there. Maybe a bunch of the settings that you go through in the screen every single time that are the same are preloaded. Do you need AI for that? I'm not sure. Okay. But the better part is customizable dashboards. When you go to Seller Central, there are many, many drop downs, fields, buttons. There's a lot. Till today, compared to what it looked like 2 years ago, compared to what it looked like 1 year ago, Seller Central is really different. I'm sure if you go into the Wayback Machine and you get screenshots of Seller Central, it looks pretty different year to year to year. Here, we are in a world where with many, many things, you don't need a lot of them. You don't understand a lot of them. It just slows you down. Here, you'll be able to build a customized dashboard, which lets you focus on the things which are important to you. So if you have 6 people in your company, somebody from shipping will have the things which have to do with inventory and shipping. Somebody who is focused on advertising will have the things focused on advertising. You'll be able to customize what people see, as I understand it. Customizability, always welcomed. I'm not sure I spelled customizability right on that page. It feels wrong, but there's no little red line under it. We'll let it slide. All right. And there you have it. So we have covered a lot. Basically, like I said, Amazon spent an entire week showing us a lot. Some of these things are fantastic. Some of these things are less so. And some of these things I recommend waiting and seeing at best. But if you weren't able to make it to Seattle last week, you now know what you missed out on. I had to sit through about 10 hours of presentations and more. You got it done in about 56 minutes. So I'll consider that a win for efficiency. The last thing I'll say is maybe a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who see, maybe it disappeared. All right. So for those of you who weren't aware, I was walking around Seattle with a vest that says Right Click Advisors. I have started a second project. I continue to run my advertising, but me and Jeff Anderson and Juana Padurario have built out a seller community, which really helps with scaling the systems that help you run your business. It is an advanced level system, but the people who are in it, the people who are with us in beta, have been saying that the things inside are fantastic. We're going to be going into the real world pretty soon, but if you're curious and you want to learn more and possibly to get in at the beta level for the few weeks before we go live, definitely reach out to any of the 3 of us. All right. Yes, Guido. While you were getting coffee, I was sitting in these sessions. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody that left comments. Tal, I saw your comment, and hopefully all is well with you. I know you were a little bit under the weather when I saw you, but I think you have fully recovered. Anybody else? I think Matt was in here also. So we've had a few friends, and I see many other comments. I appreciate you all. If you would like me to do more of these, absolutely let me know. It takes a little bit of prep, but I do like talking Amazon and I like talking e-commerce. With that said, um, I've got a 3 p.m. call and it's 2:59. See you all later.